Thank you for joining me on the channel, Mazarov. This is kind of just going to be a quick conversation, if you will, about everything that's going on in, is it the Middle East, in Tel Aviv, Israel, and then Iran. And then it's kind of a reflection, honestly, of things that I have experienced, and I can kind of give clarification on how Israel or God's people can be victorious in this war, this spiritual warfare. But before we even get into the things that I've went through, which the real people, Israeli and Judaist people, are kind of following behind, we have to kind of get into the biblical aspects of it, since Israel is a holy land and is tied to the Bible, God's people, so they said, and their foundation. So Iran is the modern name for Persia. And in Ezekiel, Daniel 10, there's a lot of different Bible verses about Israel, Jerusalem, and Persia. And you have like Cyrus the Great. And I briefly, not on this channel, but on my Keys channel, but a lot of those readings are private. I talked about Cyrus the Great because like Miley Cyrus, America, Hannah Montana, she's this shapeshifter. She has these different aliases, but one is associated with fame, but that's not her real side. Her real side is Hannah, or whatever. Take it to how it resonates. Oh no, who was her real side? Her real side was Miley Cyrus. She's how someone, Miles or Miley, can get free. Because Persia, Cyrus freed the Jews. Not Egypt, Persia freed the Jews and allowed the Jews to build Jerusalem to have this holy land. But the prince of Persia, ironically enough, is associated with demonic energy. So Israel, God's chosen people, who you see today, they were freed by a maniac. If you know anything about Cyrus the Great, he actually was like a murderer. He had a thing about like killing people and things like that. But also, they're tied to demonic energies like Gog and Mag, whatever, panic and anxiety. Take it however it resonates. But Jerusalem or Israel is now in a fight with almost like their master, their mother, their father type of energy, a king of kings, a lord of lords. That's why black people have to be so very careful about who they stand with. Because you could be standing with a person because you feel, as a black person, one, ignorance is bliss, but you feel that they are talking about not, being violent. Okay, that can't be. That can't be because for black people, the answer to blackness has always been violence. So that can't be what they're saying. So that King of Kings has something to do with Israel. It has nothing to do with what's going on. Trust me when I say white people do not care if a Mexican gets deported back to Mexico. They do not care. Most of their children come from the military. Most of them are attached to some sort of military, get some sort of benefit from it. So almost everybody has a family member that is, it is what it is. But it's tied to that Iranian Persia, Prince of Persia thing. And they're now in this nuclear battle. They're on the edge of it. But Iran or Persia, with their demonic son, who freed men, or freed Israel, or freed whoever, 666 beast, is even warning us or the United States, like, look, if you start backing Israel, if you start backing Tel Aviv, I'm gonna go to war with you too. So what we saw today, ironically enough, the day after Beyonce and Jay-Z's, the day that the nuclears hit, it was like to see the fireworks. It was actually Sir and Rumi Carter's, Beyonce and Jay-Z's twin Gemini's birthday. 6/13. I haven't looked that up in the Bible, but I'm sure it has some biblical meaning behind it. or that's 6'4", but you know Jay-Z and Beyonce keep says in 444, so that 6'4" would actually be 666. But it's tricky. Is when all that stuff happened. But you know what? On a personal note, I have been in that situation where I was victorious against my mother or a principality, a ruler that allowed me to be free or go be free once. And I was kind of living in her home or just having space, taking up space in her area where I was allowed to, or I thought I was allowed to grow and, you know, thrive or whatever. But I actually wasn't able to thrive or grow. But that got something to do with Chris Watts or Lightbringers. I don't know, because Shannon is not allowed to thrive. The thing is, Shannon is not allowed to thrive. The thing is, Israel, the biblical in Ezekiel, I can't remember the actual numbers that go along with it, with Persia and Jerusalem. They want to be victorious. God people want to be victorious over Iran or Persia. I'm going to tell you exactly how they have to do it, and I'm going to tell you step by steps. After this war or battle, Israel, for them to be victorious, are going to have to take a major step down. Because they were in an elevated place in life, but it wasn't their place. It wasn't their home. And it was beautiful. They were able to hover over the waters. They were able to just be free and be beautiful and be fit and be luxurious, wear nice clothes. Even if it was just all hand-me-downs, because everything was just handed to them. They didn't actually have to work for anything. Or if they did, you know, it wasn't laborious. It wasn't hard work. They're going to have to walk away from that. And they're going to have to leave behind, starting off with all their beautiful clothes, shoes, the beautiful home. They're going to have to walk away from that after that fight. They're going to have to kind of exile themselves. After that, they're going to kind of be in this tug of war with the devil, darkness, liquor, spirit, you know, all these type of things, just going into this dark space, if you will. And they're going to have to be victorious because something could start happening or mutating with the blood. Like it's something about the blood. After that, the loss of freedom, the loss of spirituality, the loss of like anatomy. And a lot of people think that Jewish people have already went through this with the concentration camps. No, they did not. Do you know what concentrate means? It means so nothing can make it impure. They were just saying that they were pure-blooded. They were pure-blood Jews. They were pure-blooded. They were concentrated. Like, think of like Juice or Pope. That's Pope fiction. You know, they're going to actually have to go through that. But then after that, they're going to have their house and home separated. Husbands and wife. And then the real individual, the child, is then going to have to lose their child. They're going to have to lose it. It's going to have to go be one with the father. The devil, the prince of Persia, is going to side. The children are going to side with Iran. They're just going to have to lose a home, lose a family. Everything is going to be broken. And then after that, lose your home, your job, your superiority, your money, your cars, your clothes, your designers. You lose all of that. And once you can lose all that, and then you have fake doctors, fake lawyers, fake people in your face, because it's like the law is going to come in and really take away your kids, and you can still hold on faith of God, to where you lose all your good credit. No one believes you. You're hunted by the police. Then you could be where I am now, where you have the voice. You carry the voice of reason. But does it matter in this world? It matters in this world when you are really in tune with God, when you when God was the one that gave you your life and your freedom at first, not the devil. But when you're faced with those ultimate decisions, I'm just wondering if Jewish individuals are going to actually go through the things that I went through. I didn't have a choice. I didn't even have a choice to run. I had to go through it. I had to deal with it. It wasn't a program. It was not fake. It was all real for me. Every loss, every attack, every spiritual attack, every spiritual warfare that I went through, it was real for me. So I'm just wondering if Israel is going to even be able to do it. Because right now they're just in this tit for tat. But it's biblical. But they're fighting right now with their parent, their mother, our mother, Persia. They're fighting with her. And they want to attack their mother first. I, believe it or not, am different. I did not attack my mother first. No. My mother accused me of spying or putting bugs or something like that in her house. And I told her to leave me the hell alone. I made a public cry, a public plea. Like, leave me alone. You know I didn't do that. You did that yourself. You laid down with bugs. You laid down with dogs. You get fleas. You lay down with Nephilims. You lay down with Michael. You lay down with that shit. You get fleas. That had nothing to do with me. Nothing. Because I had nothing to do with that laying down. I didn't do that. I didn't camp out. I wasn't trying to hover over the waters. No. Because when I would look at the waters, I saw different signs. I saw like a purple cross. But I just wanted to talk about that because it was so fascinating when I looked up, this World War III, how biblical it is, but how it's tied to Jesus Christ. Because they like to say that their God freed them. Their God, led Moses to the promised land, to Jerusalem, to Israel, but it's Persia, aka Egypt. It's that. The prince of Persia, in Daniel, they believe, is the devil, or at least the son of the devil. Freed them. But now they want to fight with, and it's making me think of Supernatural, they want to fight with the thing that freed them and call it the devil and say they don't want no kings or no princes, no lords in their life. That's Jesus. How you don't want it in your life, and it's the thing that gave you power to begin with. Now you want to have power of the people? You ain't gonna never have power of the people. No, that's not how that works. Meaning, you couldn't have power of the people. You did have power of the people for a very long time. But when it was beneficial for you to be superior over other people because of your witchcraft, your connections, then it was okay to have a King of Kings. It was okay to have a Lord of Lords. It was okay. But soon as things hit the fan, and now you're having to go through the things that you have put other people through, and you're having to fucking endure, you don't want to. Now you want to bunker down like it's the end of the fucking world, while you are simultaneously doing it to your fucking selves. But you don't have a choice, because the serpent will always eat its own ass. And guess what? You're not me. You guys don't know how to sit down. You don't know how to be still. You don't know how to be courteous. You don't know how to be quiet. You don't know how to mind your own fucking business. You don't know how to let people be happy in their own skin. You don't know how to be pure or white. You don't know how to do it. You know why? Only the Prince of Persia knows how to do that. And at the end, the Prince of Persia will be victorious. Only the son of the devil will be victorious. Only he will win. You know why? Because that real thing with Michael and everybody else, you want to tear that down. You want to break that. So, when you all lose your kids, and you lose your home, and you lose your matrix, you lose your computer, and you are faced with actual fucking reality, and you're woken up from a goddamn dream that was always a fucking nightmare to begin with, then you'll think back and you wish for death. You would have wished for what Chuck was offering you. You would have been wishing to be sent the fuck home. That's what you would have been wishing for. By King of King or Lord of Lord. But instead, you want to fight. And at the end, it's inevitable. A King of King or Lord of Lord will win. It will win. My friend, I just want to witness. I want to witness everything that you motherfuckers put me through. I want to witness all of you go through it. Your house, your home, your happiness, your voice, your health, your mental, your spirituality, everything that you love, even your place of worship. I want you to lose all of that so you can feel like I feel. And then at the end, you see if you are as happy, content, in solitude as I am. Because you'll probably be fucking disturbed. So Godspeed. God bless. Bye.